Greetings and welcome to everyone. My name is Amanda Miller, and I'm the Associate Director of the National Consortium for Data Science. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Scaling Up. The Scaling Up series was born out of our North Carolina Education Working Group. This series explores the question, how are we bringing higher ed faculty and staff and other stakeholders into data science, and how are we keeping them here? The data science higher education space is rapidly evolving, and we are really excited to bring the issues that are facing the data science higher education community in North Carolina to a national audience for collaborative learning. Today, we're hosting Dr. Crista Arangala, Director of the Elon University Data Nexus. Dr. Arangala's presentation today is titled Developing a Coordinating Hub for Data Competency. So Data Nexus was created as part of a 5-year quality enhancement plan developed during Elon's most recent accreditation process. And the Nexus serves as a coordinating hub for data competency initiatives at the university throughout the plan and beyond. Crista is going to be sharing the drivers for creating the Nexus today, going into a little bit more detail, providing some success stories, as well as a few pain points along the way. If you could all hold your questions until after her presentation wraps up, Crista will then moderate questions via Zoom chat at the end of her presentation. So without further delay, it is my pleasure to pass the mic to Dr. Arangala. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my slides. Okay. So hopefully you're seeing the slides. Hello, everyone. As Amanda said, I'm Crista Arangala, and I'm here to share a bit about Elon's Data Nexus and the journey that's led us to where we are now. With our data competency quality enhancement plan. So let's see, sorry. Somehow I got to a place where I can't see you guys. That's not good. Here we go. So there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so I thought I would start with a little bit of my own background in order to frame how Elon got here. It might help me to talk about my journey at Elon so that you also can think about what questions you might have along the way. So I just started my 25th year at Elon, and I came to Elon in 2000 as an applied mathematician. And I was looking to make an impact at a mid-sized liberal arts institution. At that time, Elon had 4,000 undergraduate students and a few graduate programs. Since then, I've worn a variety of different hats that you see here on the screen, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those. And to be honest, I've worn many of these hats at the same time. So I'd say I was just changing my wardrobe. And typically my hats changed or my wardrobes changed about every 6 to 8 years. So I would say that the main reason for this is that Elon is a place for innovation, a place where they encourage faculty and staff to try something new, to give faculty and staff the chance to make an impact. In these past 25 years, I've led study abroad programs in India. I've led a long-term service cohort with projects in Sri Lanka through the Periclean Scholars Program. I've sat as the associate director of Periclean Scholars. I've chaired Graduate Council, which is our curriculum council for graduate programs, and University Curriculum Committee. So I understand the intricacies of our curriculum process here at Elon. And I've served on the Boldly Elon Strategic Planning Committee, which is our current plan. As the chair, I've also served as the chair of the Math and Stats department for 8 years prior to taking on the role of the director of Data Nexus. I know some of these little bubbles are a little hard to see. I'll be sure to share the slides with Amanda so that she can share out with you as well. So how does this align with Elon's vision for data competency for all? I'd like to highlight the few words that I mentioned previously: innovation and impact. In 2002, Elon decided to make a bold move and focus on statistical foundations in its first-year core. This meant only giving a few options to incoming first-year students for their math core courses in our core curriculum. And those included, and if you can't see them on the screen, I'm going to highlight them. Stats 1100, which is Intro to Statistical Reasoning. I would call this a stats course for the consumer. Stats 2120, which is Statistics and Applications. And we typically call this is not a second year stats class. This is we call our statistics for the producer. And then our typical Calculus 1 class, which is Math 150. In addition to Stats 1100 and Stats 2120, the majority of our business majors take Econ 2300, which is business statistics. So fast forward, Elon now has over 7,000 undergraduate students, approximately 90% of which take at least one of those 3 stats courses: Stats 1100, Stats 2120, or Econ 2300, before they graduate. Elon started developing the Boldly Elon strategic plan in 2018, while continuing to focus on the mission to be a leading undergraduate institution. Data, along with course embedded research, were at the forefront of the discussions. So during this time, Elon's data-focused curriculum began to thrive, with majors in business analytics, data analytics, media analytics, statistics with many concentrations, and minors in data science and statistics, to name a few. So those are what you see in red over on the left. And those are in addition to our first-year core curriculum classes that I've already discussed. Again, with faculty focused on innovation and impact, many of these programs are interdisciplinary in nature, and many of these programs were developed with the goal of rising our students up and developing data efficacy in all students. This meant that those developing these new programs might have to think about traditional barriers for students who do not traditionally pursue these more technical fields of study. For example, Elon's Bachelor of Arts in Data Analytics is interdisciplinary in that students majoring in the field are required to have a second major or minor in order to put data in context. They may also use their capstone from that second major in order to incorporate it into their data analytics major. And maybe if you're a mathematician or statistician, you might gasp at this point. We also don't require our students to take that traditional path of taking calculus in order to major in data analytics as a Bachelor of Arts. They start as producers of statistics using tools like SAS and R in their first-year courses as well. So I'll also share a few of the co-curricular activities that have developed since then, alongside the curriculum that I've already spoke of, just because some of these co-curricular activities will be integrated into later slides. So just a few of these, although there are many more. We have a Center for Organizational Analytics, that's the COA in our business school. We've got a baseball analytics team that participates in national competitions every year. We've got a Live Oaks analytics team and a sports media lab in our School of Comm, as well as an Elon News Network analytics team. And our Human Service Studies program also has an analytics team. So I'll step back for a moment to talk about a few of our challenges that we hit along the way before explaining more about the Data Nexus and Elon's Data Competency Quality Enhancement Plan. So here are a few. These are things that you may have also run across. I would say ownership is definitely a challenge that in terms of curriculum, that we've come across. Academics can be a little bit territorial. Naming and branding is another challenge. What is data science? What's data analytics? What's data engineering? We have a lot of different fields with data. It's hard for us and it's hard for our students to understand those intricate differences. We also have had silos related to data initiatives on campus. Elon is traditionally a busy culture, and we might not know all that's happening on campus. And then finally, who's included? Who should be included in data initiatives? How do we get started? Who counts? And why shouldn't everyone count? So those are some things that we've thought about along the way. So a little bit about our data competency initiative around that. This is our quality enhancement plan. So it highlights Elon's continued vision as a leader in undergraduate education and student success. It was is part of our institution's SAC-COC accreditation process in data competency, and Data Nexus arose directly from the Bully Elon strategic plan and the quality enhancement plan. It's a 5-year plan which focuses on 3 main goals. So these are 3 main goals, which I will highlight a little bit more in my next slides. We are focused on foundational data literacies, foundational statistical competencies, and advanced data competencies. So what are we thinking about when it comes to foundational data literacies? So we're starting with our students as early as their checklist in the summer before they arrive on campus. And we are building the computing skills necessary for storing and organizing data for all of our students so that they're ready to talk about next level data competencies. Secondly, we're building foundational statistical reasoning skills necessary for consuming, interpreting, and computing findings for decision-making related to data. And finally, the advanced data competency goal is to create or redesign and promote data designated courses, course sections, and academic co-curricular experiences across various disciplines and within an interdisciplinary context. So something that I would say is part of our process is that we have had to embrace our innovation mission around innovation here at Elon, and think about how we're advancing data competency, data-centric Elon, by thinking outside the box. One of the ways we did this is to think about some micro-credentials. Our students call them badges that they can link to LinkedIn around advanced data competency, advanced statistical programming, and or programming as well. So before we think more about how this works, I've talked a lot about what we're doing in this presentation and sort of where we came from, but Elon feels like they've been positioning themselves to lead the co-curricular and curricular discussion. So what do we do? What do you and your students need to get there? So here are a few other co-curricular activities to think about. As we were thinking about our co-curricular activities, we also put in place a way for faculty to designate their courses as as data intensive courses. If you do go to the Elon Data Nexus website, you can see some of the courses that we've already designated as we started just in the spring 2024. But the 5 student learning outcomes that we focused on were sort of necessary for us to get started. The first being assessing data, accessing data, methodology, communicating about data, and a variety of technology student learning outcomes. For our data intensive designation, my faculty advisory committee asked that faculty that are proposing data designated courses focus on at least 2 of these student learning outcomes in order to have the designation. And those micro-credentials that we are working on, that advanced micro-credential, I'm going to go back one on the left, focuses on encouraging students to take data intensive courses within multiple disciplines, as well as work on co-curricular experiences related to data outside of the classroom. So a couple things that I want to highlight. I think that throughout our experience, it was important for us to think about the data in context. It was important for us to think about considering interdisciplinary programs. Within that, be thinking, I highlighted our data analytics major, but other things that you might consider are things like an ethics of responsible technologies or ethics of data type experience. So on to a discussion. A couple other co-curricular experiences that we have are highlighted on the board, but here are some questions that I would like you to ponder before you go to this particular website. I'm sort of going to charge us with some things to think about. Part of my goal in agreeing to address you today is to contribute to the collaborative effort to support the Data for All initiative. So what I'd like us to do is to take a few minutes to think about the challenges that you and your students or you and your colleagues have faced and share. And in addition, I'm going to share one more slide before we go to that link, so I will come back. I would like you also to think about what existing or new resources you might need to support your community members in building the data at CUM. So what we'd like to think about is thinking about these initiatives and how we can spurn on and get engaging dialogue with one another. So I'd like you to take a few minutes. I know I'm sharing. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for a minute and share the link. So here is the link, and I'm going to share the easy retro before you go ahead and add. I'll talk about how to use it. Are you sharing it? Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so there are 3 sections there on the screen. I can also go to it so I can highlight. If you would like to add a challenge to the column, you can just click on the button underneath the challenge or similar under the need support or looking for collaboration. Again, this is not for questions. I will field questions later. So if you go ahead and save a challenge, you can do that. You can vote on things, put a reaction, and add your responses in. So you see that Lee has already shared one. So what I would love for you to do is to go into the board and add your comments there so that we can discuss how that we can support your communities further in data developing a data initiative for all. So I'm going to give a few minutes to go ahead and let you guys try that out. I'll add a timer in of a couple minutes. We'll see how we're doing as we add things in. So let's go ahead and see if you can share out. Is anyone willing to share? Can you see the screen?
And in case anyone is having challenges with adding to Easy Retro, if you want to drop any questions in the Zoom chat, we are more than happy to add those. Here we go.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And I'll put the other one up from the other slide too. Oh, we got it. Okay, perfect. Okay. I added it twice. So yeah, so I'm hoping that you'll engage with us to give us some ideas of what supports you need or challenges you faced or collaborations you might be looking for. If not, we'll stop the timer a few minutes early. If you like Amanda said, if you want to add anything. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Any thoughts? I see one already. I'm going to let people think for another minute or two, Amanda, if that's okay.
That sounds great. Yeah. And I also want to encourage people to respond to that brave person's post. If you want to click on that, on that quote bubble, if any of you have a responder would like to echo a challenge there, you can just enter your comment by clicking on that quote bubble. Thanks, Leah.
Okay, we'll give one more minute, and I'm going to also pull up the Data Nexus website to share with you as well. While you're thinking for the last 30 minutes, I would say that, since NC State was brave to post for us today, I feel like in developing Data Nexus, we're only in the beginning of our second year. There's a really strong North Carolina sort of cohort of people that are willing to share. And so if you're still thinking about what your needs are, feel free to reach out to me. And or any of the folks that maybe you might no, but if you want to reach out to me or even post to this board later on with your thoughts, and we can connect and think about ways to collaborate. So I feel like there's a really good support system already out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my. I saw the post also around the badges, so I thought I would just quickly share my website. Feel free at any time to just search Elon Data Nexus and you'll get to it. I think Lee, you might be sharing, so is it okay that I share? Awesome. Okay, so let's see. So I'm just going to highlight a couple things. If you are looking for those student learning outcomes, if you're thinking about developing course data intensive courses of your own, you can go to our tab here for data intensive designated courses. And if you click on, I'm not going to do that today, but the here button, you can see all the courses that have been designated since January. At Elon, we have roughly 32 courses that have been designated. You can also click on any of the SLOs themselves and they'll take you to the courses that meet those student learning outcomes. We do offer a lot of support to faculty and staff to join in with communities of practice. We have mini grants. And we also are working to connect people across campus through collecting data on profiles. But let me go ahead and go to those badges that I highlighted. If you want to know the requirements for any of these badges, you can just click on them. I think this takes us, to all of the requirements of the badge so that you can see some of the experiences that we're asking them to do in order to get an advanced data competency badge. That one's fairly detailed. If you're looking for something, or just a software to work on the badging, I think if you click on the R programming, this shows you sort of where the badges come from. So this is more general. And so we do run our badges through our registrar's office and Credly. So they, although it's overseen by Data Nexus, all of those go through our registrar as well. So that's a little bit of our badges as well. And then of course, just like probably all of you, we're trying to host a lot of different campus events. Our theme for this year, chosen by our faculty, staff, and student body, is data in our local community. And so we try hard to bring speakers in to focus on those, but we also have a lot of data and career type workshops. Okay, so I will end today. Let me go ahead and stop sharing that. Sorry, too many shares. My goal was not to do that, but I'll end today with just a thank you and for joining in, and a open invitation for any of you to email with any further questions, and also reiterate that you can use that easy retro, and I'll share any of that information with our hosts so that they also can think about what types of things to support all of you with. The two emails that I've listed here are the general Data Nexus email as well as my personal email if you wish to contact me directly. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing and give you a chance to post questions in the Zoom. This would be a chance. This is the time to go ahead and post the questions, and I'm going to be moderating that. So our hosts are just going to check to make sure I didn't skip anything. So holler my way if I did skip a question. I'm going to scroll all the way up to make sure I don't miss anything.
And Krista, if you want to read the question before
I
you
will.
get started, it
That's
looks like we've got Holly Lynn Lee.
Yeah, and then yeah, so Holly Lynn. So I'm reading Holly Lynn's question. So are students, people outside of Elon, finding those badges? I have not found that so far. So the badges, in terms of on the side, the last sort of step of the badges are that they have to actually apply. And so the application is actually just, I run that just through a form on Microsoft, and they have to have a Elon affiliation in order to fill out that form. So I haven't seen that. Now, Elon does have a separate program called Elon Next, which is outward facing to the community and corporate. They also have corporations that they work with, and so I have talked about in the future Elon offering these types of things through Elon Next as well, but these are supposed to be internal at this point. And you also asked, and then they earn, so our students outside of Elon finding the badges on Credly? No. And then yeah, and then they earn the badges, and they can link those, I think, to LinkedIn and other things. So we are just starting to offer them. So for example, the advance, how do they find out about them? I'll go to David's question in a second, but so like our R101 workshops running right now, and so any of those students that go through the whole series are eligible for that one. But the Advanced Data Competency badge, I run a report every semester to see who's in our data intensive classes, and then sort of, give them a shout out if they've taken three have taken or are taking 3 data intensive classes, so that they know that that's the sort of the first step in eligibility. I also send emails out to all of our students that are in data intensive classes to encourage them to continue taking data intensive classes right around registration time. So next question, how do the badges relate to academic credit? Well, I would say that they're separate from academic credit. We certainly encourage our students to pursue curricular experiences related to data. But these are perhaps students that want a flavor, but or want something different than the class that they might be taking. So typically, I'll give you an example of a badge you don't see on there. We have not offered a Python 101 badge. Our computer science program starts with a first year Python course, and so obviously that's the academic credit, but they feel, but we would communicate with them sort of the gaps in that first course or other things that they think that a student might want to see, so that we're not overlapping, we're actually adding to the experience. So students could take that course and our workshop, or students could just take our workshop, or obviously just that course. So what other questions do you have? Have students used these badge-based courses to explore areas new to them? Absolutely. I think that for example, our baseball analytics team tends to do their work with R for their competition. And so I do see a lot of students starting their R experience through our workshops so that they can be prepared for that. They also might not have time before, say, an internship to take a course, and then so they may do a series of workshops for a badge, and then go on to do a course after their internship. I also have first years in these workshops that lead to a badge. So we ran our first R101 workshop for the series leading up to the badge last week, and there were first-year students involved as well. What other questions can I field for you guys? I think we do still have a handful of minutes. Are there guidelines about the investment of time and effort involved for students and for faculty in regard to badges, David, or in regard to something else? Can you give me a little bit more? Badges. We do have at Elon a committee that approves the micro-credential applications. So I would say yes, there are guidelines if you'd like to see what an application looks like for that through Elon. Just either send me an email or post to that tiny URL. So yes, so there is a committee that oversees those. There are some guidelines. I would say I'll highlight a couple guidelines that I can think of off the top of my head. One, it is supposed to be different than a course, right? So what are you adding to the student's experience? Two, it is supposed to be fairly open to all. So for instance, if I did something that was just for our nursing students or just for our engineers, how do you open that up for more students, right? So there's no, for example, none of the except for the advanced data competency badge, there's not any prerequisites for them to do the badge. And I would say in terms of time and effort, that's probably, I mean, it depends, right? I mean, so there's levels. So that's why you see like R101, that's a pretty base badge versus advanced data competency. That takes a lot more, right? And so the commitment currently, I'd say because we are early stages of development in Data Nexus, we do have faculty and staff running the workshops. So that's a commitment. Data Nexus does give a stipend in order for them to run them, but we do also have other workshops that are run by corporate partners and alumni. So the commitment for students and faculty involvement typically is a series of 1-hour workshops, 3 to 4 usually, and then usually I ask students to be engaged in those workshops, which means that they have to turn in what we're producing, and then to do something extra like a project. The R101 workshop leading to the badge is currently in a form where they have to either do, it's a data visualization badge, and so either do a project related to data visualization with the data set provided, or I do something related to producing a video that could be impactful for students related to the workshops. So there's a variety of, we try to tap the skill sets of the students rather than sort of pigeonholing their creativity. So yeah, other questions? Okay, you mentioned building up computing skills to facilitate data storage. Does any of the curricular focus on or include data management skills? That's a great question. So what I was not part of the Quality Enhancement Plan planning committee. But I will speak to how they got to that particular goal. So what we realized about our students in surveying faculty, staff, and students is that they really don't have a good sense of where their files are. That, you know, many students keep their files in their download folders, or in Google Drive, but not very organized. And when we go to do things like, you know, these R101 workshops or using technology in class, it's very difficult for them to find their pathways or breadcrumbs related to bringing those data files in. And so our Related to storage, we're starting with just file management, and then trying to help them connect the story to data. Yeah. Have you considered how these competencies could form a professional skills foundation that might relate to widely accepted standards? I'm thinking about certifications in a sense. Definitely. I mean, I think that like I said, we haven't thought large scale in terms of the outward facing implications of this, because our quality enhancement plans only starting its second year, but I could think of what definitely see ways that we could focus externally or internally in terms of larger professional certifications. So yeah. Related to Maura's question, I also think that our business school does require our students to have a decent amount of data management skills, but our larger community does not, and so we are moving towards more workshops related to that as well to support our faculty. One of the I mean, we're doing these workshops also for faculty and staff, but one of the things that we're realizing is that if we do have an expectation that faculty and staff will infuse data into their curriculum, we also need to support them with workshops outside of the class. So a lot of faculty don't have time in their curriculum to teach the skills. So we are working hand in hand with them to align some of their goals with our workshops. Other questions? We have a few more minutes. I'll take one more if you have any.
All right. Well, this has been really helpful, Crista. Thank you so much for your presentation today. It looks like there's been some traction with at least a couple of folks. Definitely thank you to those of you who have bravely posted questions and comments today. We really appreciate that. And one of the things I love about Crista is that she is incredibly accessible and collaborative in her mind, in her mindset, but also the way she works with her colleagues. So, you know, if folks do have specific questions, I am certain that Crista will be happy to answer those. If you email her or connect with her on LinkedIn, whatever your preferred route for connection might be. So thanks so much again, Crista, for giving us some insight into the process that's been going on over at Elon. Really appreciate that.
Thank you for inviting me.
Anytime. So we're just going to take the last couple of minutes to make sure that a few of our upcoming NCDS programs are on your radar. The AI for Non-Coders course that takes place next Thursday, September 26th, is a 4-hour workshop designed to provide non-technical audiences an understanding of AI, its fundamental concepts, and its practical applications. This course really is intended to clarify the technical jargon often associated with AI and reveal how everyday people rely on AI in their personal and professional lives. Attendees will receive, you know, big picture explanations of how AI works, and will also learn about the opportunities and risks in the field. So folks will leave the course with a deeper awareness of AI being used in their work environments, as well as a greater technical understanding of how AI is driving innovation across sectors. So I recommend this to faculty and staff who might not directly be working in research, but who might need to have some familiarity with terms that are often tossed around in our culture these days when it comes to AI. So do keep that in mind. And then we also have on October 9th, Oops, looks like we might have skipped over a slide. Yep, thank you. If you guys could help us spread the word about the upcoming October 9th Analyzing Data Science Careers panel we have coming up with a postdoc research fellow at IBM Research, a friend of ours from Accenture, and another person from Uplift Labs. We have a really interesting mix of folks in terms of their experience and professional backgrounds speaking at this event on October 9th. This is open to everybody, and we do encourage you to spread the word with your colleagues and any students at your institutions. This is always a popular event, usually draws a few hundred folks. And this is taking place virtually, and we would love your help getting more students to attend. So with that in mind, we are wrapping up for the afternoon. It has been a pleasure to have all of you on here. Crista, again, huge thank you for sharing some insight with us today on developing a coordinating hub for data competency at Elon. Really appreciate all of you being here, and would really appreciate your responses with an evaluation. If you could take a moment to just let us know how we did, and let us know a little bit more about the other content you're interested in hearing about. We would really love that feedback from you. So thanks so much. We are recording this event, and we will be sharing this in our follow-up email along with contact info for Crista. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.